We believed we ruled the universe until humanity proved us wrong. The Ascendari had cataloged 97% of the known galaxy, and in all their centuries of expansion, not a single species had ever surprised them. Until today. High Strategos Veldar narrowed his slitted eyes at the screen. The vessel floating before him was a crude, asymmetrical construct, char at the edges, humming erratically and broadcasting what sounded like brass instruments. "Is that noise deliberate?" he hissed. His second-in-command, Substrategos Nahari, tapped the crystalline control panel. "We believe it is called jazz, sir. A primitive Earth form of music. Chaotic, improvisational." Veldar bristled. Improvisation. The word itself was an insult to order. On the central view screen, the human vessel rotated clumsily, revealing a bright red hand-painted phrase across the hull. USS Bob Ross. No mistakes. Just happy little maneuvers. Veldar snarled. Establish contact. Now. The screen flickered. A human face appeared. Female mid-40s, smirking like she'd just played a prank on the universe. She wore a leather jacket over a frayed uniform and had a slice of something greasy in her hand. "This is Captain Lena Cortez of the Bob Ross," she said, taking a bite. "We're terribly sorry if we're trespassing. Galactic maps are really outdated on the Spaghetti Arms. You wouldn't happen to have a restroom and maybe a cup of coffee, would you?" Veldar blinked. "You have violated Ascendari restricted space. You are surrounded. Surrender or face disintegration." Cortez wiped her hands on a napkin. That's a bit harsh, don't you think? We were just on our way to a concert on Epsilon Theta. K-pop cover band. Ever heard of BTS? No? Tragic. Behind her, a cacophony erupted. Someone knocked over a tool rack. A voice shouted, "I swear, Reggie, if you duct tape another console, I will eject you." Veldar muted the channel and exhaled sharply. "What are these creatures?" Aboard the Bob Ross, chaos was not a feature. It was the operating system. Captain Cortez turned from a view screen and addressed her crew with a practiced calm that belied the absurdity of their situation. "All right, team, status?" Dr. Raj Specs Patel popped his head up from under a console, dark curls askew, one goggle lens fogged over. "Our quantum stabilizer's mimicking a popcorn maker again. I can fix it, but we'll have to disable the coffee synthesizer. Temporary trade-off." "Unacceptable," Cortez said flatly. Reggie Tran, sprawled across a couch in the back, tossed a stress ball between his hands. "Could just route the power through the karaoke system. Worked last time. That blew out the NAV sensors." "Details," Reggie said, grinning. "We didn't need to know where we were going. The vibes were immaculate." Cortez sighed. "Fine. Just do something that won't kill us or make us legally responsible for a supernova." Alani Reed sat cross-legged by the viewport, sketching the swirls of interstellar gas outside. She was humming a tune that only slightly resembled a lullaby. "The Ascendari ship is beautiful," she murmured, "like a glass blade floating in a dream." "It's also aimed at our face," Cortez said. "So let's focus." In the Ascendari command vessel, Veldar's patience reached its limit. "Engage tractor beam. We'll drag them to Outpost Theta 9 for analysis. Humanity clearly requires containment." As the Bob Ross jolted forward, pulled by unseen force, Reggie yelled from the back, "Incoming seizure beam!" "That's tractor beam," Patel corrected. "Whatever. Feels rude." Cortez stood firm. "All right, people. This isn't our first alien abduction. We play nice, confuse them with small talk, and escape at the earliest opportunity." Patel adjusted his goggles. "We're outgunned, outmatched, and running on backup systems powered by 3 microwave dinners and a prayer." "Exactly," she said, "which is why they'll never see us coming." 3 hours later, the Bob Ross sat locked in containment bay on Outpost Theta 9, surrounded by sterile walls and floating drones. The crew had been allowed to bring personal effects during their quarantine. Cortez immediately set up a coffee station on a crate. Reggie was already challenging a surveillance drone to a game of chess using mismatched pieces. Patel had jury-rigged a portable scanner from a hairdryer, a fork, and 2 AA batteries. Alani was whispering to a curious-looking vine that had crept through a crack in the floor. "Weird flora," she noted. "Desert species. But it's responsive. Curious. Let's hope it doesn't try to pollinate you," Reggie said, tapping the drone's head like a cat. Veldar watched it all from the surveillance chamber with mounting confusion. "They're nesting." "Affirmative," Nahari said, "making themselves at home. One of them appears to be hosting a tea ceremony. Send a behavioral analyst." "We did. She quit." Veldar leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "No one has ever disrespected the Ascendari like this. They mock us, laugh at us, improvise." He didn't say the last word so much as spit it. Back in the cell, the crew huddled around a monitor that Patel had hot-wired. A blueprint of the outpost flickered on screen. 3 exits, Patel said, all guarded. But if we can redirect power from the central coolant hub, we can trigger a pressure lock release. Cortez finished. Classic. Reggie looked impressed. "You two rehearsing this stuff in your sleep?" "Only when it's inconvenient," Patel muttered. Alani stood, gently placing her hand on the vine, which now glowed faintly blue. "This planet wants to grow again. I can feel it. It's been dormant for too long." Cortez nodded. "Then let's wake it up." By the time the Ascendari realized something was wrong, it was too late. The Bob Ross exploded out of the docking bay like a cork from a shaken bottle, trailed by vines, sparks, and a jaunty saxophone riff. From the surface of the prison planet, desert turned green in their wake. Slowly, impossibly, life returned to sterile ground. In the command center, Veldar could only stare at the monitor. "They escaped," Nahari said, stunned, "and terraformed our test site. Accidentally." Veldar's claws curled into a fist. "No, they didn't escape. They declared war with Jazz. We believe we rule the universe until humanity proved us wrong. Outpost Theta, 9 wasn't meant to be comfortable. The Ascendari built to break the will of dangerous anomalies. Telepathic warlords, rogue AI, and now a jazz-playing human crew who'd apparently weaponized duct tape and optimism. High Strategos Veldar wasn't taking any more chances. "I want them back in custody," he ordered coldly. "Alive, if possible. Contained, absolutely. No more improvisation." He spat the word again like it tasted foul. 2 parsecs away, the Bob Ross limped into orbit around a sun-scorched planet. The ship's systems flickered from their hasty escape. Life support ran on borrowed power, and the crew had eaten their last cup noodles 3 days ago. "So," Captain Cortez said, hands on hips, "anybody want to explain why our only safe harbor is a death rock with no atmosphere and 3 active volcanoes?" Patel looked up from the console, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Because every other route is crawling with the Ascendari patrols. And this planet? It's completely off their grid. Uncharted, unstable, uninteresting. Perfect vacation spot," Reggie muttered. Cortez grinned. "We'll call it Camp Knotted." Alani peered through the viewport at the desolate landscape. "There's something strange. That planet's not dead. Just waiting." Patel raised an eyebrow. "You're feeling emotions from a rock now. Plants first. Now rocks. Don't worry, you're next." They landed in a canyon, shielded by rock formations that jutted like broken teeth. The heat shimmered across the valley floor, and the ship groaned like it had been through one too many misadventures. Which, to be fair, it had. Reggie unfolded a solar tent with practiced ease, while Patel set up a jury-rigged scanner powered by a fusion battery, a music box, and 2 old PlayStation controllers. "We'll need water and atmospheric filters online before nightfall," Patel said. "Otherwise, we're going to wake up either frozen or cooked, possibly both." "I've survived worse," Reggie said, snapping a gum bubble. "Once had to win a PvP tournament with a broken wrist and a 2-second lag." "Absolutely not the same," Patel muttered. Cortez knelt beside a jagged ridge and ran her fingers across the stone. "No signs of previous settlement?" "Not unless someone lived in lava," Reggie replied. But Alani wasn't listening. She'd wandered toward the shadows at the canyon's edge, drawn by a faint shimmer beneath the sand. Kneeling, she brushed it away, revealing a cluster of cracked bulbs embedded in the ground. Glassy, dormant, but pulsing faintly under her touch. "I think this used to be a garden," she whispered. That night, the temperature dropped 30 degrees in half an hour. Wind howled through the canyon, carrying dust and echoes. The crew sat around a flickering heat lamp, chewing emergency rations and pretending they were gourmet meals. Here's the recycled protein bars, Cortez toasted, and to not dying. Yet, Reggie added helpfully. Patel stared at his scanner. "We're picking up faint structures underground. Metallic. Patterned. This might have been an outpost, long before even the Ascendari." Cortez leaned forward. "Pre-Empire? Maybe older. Something's down there. Something dormant." Suddenly, the ground trembled. Everyone froze. "Was that—" Reggie started. "Seismic activity," Patel confirmed. "Deep core. Natural, I think." Alani looked thoughtful. Or maybe not natural anymore. The next morning, Cortez awoke to find Alani tending to the bulbs she'd uncovered. They were growing. Thin green shoots broke through the cracked sand, swaying gently in the sulphurous wind. "You've been gardening on an active volcano?" "I left them some music. Plants like rhythm." Cortez raised an eyebrow. "Anything else growing out here?" Alani smiled. "Hope." The peace didn't last. An Ascendari drone dropped from orbit just after noon, silent and glinting, its single eye scanning the camp like a predator. Reggie spotted it first. "We're burned," he said flatly. "They found us." Cortez reacted instantly. "Everyone pack. We're moving." "No time," Patel warned. "That drone's a tagger. Whole fleet will be on us in hours." Cortez considered. "Then we don't run. We use what we have." Reggie stared. "You mean the half-melted ship, Apache scanner, and a flower bed?" "No," she said, smirking. "We have ingenuity, and a complete lack of respect for authority." Patel rerouted the ship's power core into the scanner array, feeding it directly into the underground anomaly. The sensors overloaded. But something woke up. The ground cracked. Steam hissed through fissures. And the planet, desolate just hours ago, began to change. The plant life exploded outward in accelerated growth, vines shooting across the ground like snakes. Towers of crystal erupted from the earth like ancient obelisks. "What did you do?" Reggie shouted over the roar. "I just turned it on." Patel yelled back. Alani's voice was calm, awed. This whole place was terraforming tech. Ancient organic, waiting for a signal. "Or a spark," Cortez said. The Ascendari fleet arrived in formation. 10 ships, pristine and silent, arrayed like a judge's gavel. Veldar appeared on the screen once more. "You are surrounded." Again, "Surrender." Cortez smiled. "You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means." Below them, the planet came alive, vines ensnaring the canyon walls, energy surging through alien conduits, blossoms unfolding with bioluminescent defiance. "We didn't just survive your trap," she said. "We woke your buried history and made it ours." Veldar's expression remained blank, but for the first time, there was something behind his eyes that hadn't been there before. Doubt. The Bob Ross lifted off with its engine screaming and vines clinging to its hull like proud battle scars. The crew left behind a blooming oasis where a dead world once lay. Inside, Reggie dropped into seat. "I can't believe that worked." Patel replied, "Neither can physics." Alani placed a single glowing blossom in a water tin by her bunk. "They'll never understand it." Cortez smirked. "They don't have to. We do." Outside, the planet bloomed. And somewhere, deep in the Ascendari's psyche, a question began to fester. What if order wasn't strength? What if chaos was evolution? The Bob Ross had never moved this fast. Alarm screamed in every language the ship's translator could muster, which was currently cycling through Swahili, Japanese, Klingon, and what might have been Yiddish. Captain Cortez ignored them all. "Status," she barked. Patel, hunched over the console like it owed him money, muttered, "Shields are at 30%, life support is stable-ish, and our main thruster is—" "Reggie, why does it smell like cinnamon and despair in engineering?" Because I rerouted the coolant through the flavor dispenser, Reggie shouted from below decks. Now we got forward thrust and a warm apple pie scent. Win-win. You're a menace to all forms of logic, Patel replied. And yet you love me. Cortez cut through their banner. Focus up, team. The Ascendari aren't just chasing us. They're tracking us. That planet gave us a spark, sure, but they'll be back with fire. They're not used to losing, Alani said softly, watching nebulae swirl outside the viewport. That terrifies them more than war. The central conflict wasn't just survival anymore. It was message. The Ascendari ruled through perfection. Humanity, through imperfection, adapted into genius. And right now, that adaptability was their most dangerous weapon. Cortez leaned over Patel's console. Options? He frowned. There's a comms relay nearby. Abandoned during the expansion wars. If we can get there, we might be able to broadcast. Tell the other colonies. Spread the spark. Reggie poked his head into the room. Or we could steal a capital ship and graffiti a giant your move across the hull. Cortez raised an eyebrow. Wild card. Always. They changed course. The relay floated in the dead vacuum about Sector 43, surrounded by asteroid debris and long-forgotten space wreckage. A silent monument to a war no one remembered and peace no one appreciated. The Bob Ross docked with a wheeze. Cortez stepped out first, her boots crunching over metal dust. Alani followed, eyes wide as she traced forgotten symbols on the walls. Markings now of Ascendari origin. Not their tech, she whispered. Precursor, maybe. Something older. Patel was already working, fingers flying across the console. If I can hook into their mainframe and bypass the security AI, we could broadcast to every listening station in the quadrant. Can you do it? Cortez asked. He hesitated. With Reggie's help, probably. Whoa! I didn't sign up for actual responsibility, Reggie said, arriving with a snack bar halfway to his mouth. Too late, Cortez said. You're the chaos. He's the structure. Together, you might be dangerous enough. Reggie grinned. Finally, they split up. Cortez and Alani swept the relay for hostiles. Patel and Reggie plunged into the heart of the comms node, wading through corrupted code and long-dead circuits. Sparks flew. Lights flickered. Reggie somehow electrocuted himself twice and used it as an excuse to sing karaoke while rerouting power. Alani, running her fingers along a glowing vine growing to cracked ceiling, turned to Cortez. You ever think we weren't meant to be the ones leading this? You mean humans? No. Us. This crew. This ship. Cortez gave a short laugh. Every day. But here we are, so we might as well make a mess that matters. Alani nodded, then paused, frowning. Something's wrong. Suddenly, the station shuddered. An Ascendari boarding craft slammed into the far side, breaching silently but decisively. Veldar had not only tracked them, he'd anticipated them. They're here. Patel gasped into the comm, stalling the signal. We need 10 minutes. By M15, Cortez said. She sprinted down the corridor, weapon in hand, Alani close behind. The air crackled with static. Ascendari drones swarmed the corridors, sleek, silent, lethal. Cortez fired, diving behind cover as energy bolts scorched the walls. Alani whispered to the station itself, vines slithering from cracks, wrapping around drone limbs, yanking them backward like the planet they just left was reaching forward to fight alongside them. In the core chamber, Reggie was upside down, soldering a live wire with his teeth. Any progress? Patel asked, sweating. If by progress you mean narrowly avoiding death while rewriting ancient code in a language I barely understand. Yes. Loads. Reggie slapped the panel. The system groaned. Then connection. A blue pulse raced through the relay's spire. Patel's eyes widened. It's working. We're online. He began broadcasting. This is Captain Lena Cortez of the Bob Ross. Humanity is alive, and we are unbound. To any colony, species, or soul who's ever been told they were less than perfect, we're proof that chaos can conquer, that adaptation can overcome oppression, that jazz can be a weapon. The signal surged outward, across star systems, into forgotten settlements, Ancient satellites, rebel fleets, smuggler camps, and rogue AI cores. The voice of humanity echoed. The Ascendari didn't fear war. They feared inspiration. Veldar realized this too late. Cortez stood before him, smoke curling from her jacket, half her crew bruised but breathing. "You thought order was strength," she said, raising her weapon. "But strength is surviving everything the universe throws at you and still laughing." Veldar hissed, raising a claw. "You are an anomaly." She smiled. "No, strategos. We're the upgrade." Back on the Bob Ross, the crew regrouped. Reggie collapsed in a chair, smirking. "Next time we go camping," he said, "can we pick a planet without fascist lizards?" Alani placed a new blossom by the viewfinder. "They're listening now. The galaxy's changing." Cortez watched the stars flicker with new signals, new lights, new rebellion spark from a single human voice. "Good," she said. "Let them know we're just getting started." The galaxy didn't erupt in fire. It bloomed. At first, the signal from the relay, Cortez's declaration of human defiance, was dismissed by many. A glitch. Propaganda. Noise from a dying race. But it echoed louder each day, carried by pirates, dreamers, exiles, and machines with long-forgotten names. The Ascendari Empire, which had gone unchallenged for millennia, found itself facing a foe it had never prepared for. Ideas. On the Bob Ross, the crew watched the wave unfold from the edge of the rim. Cortez stood in the observation dome, her reflection cast against the stars. Behind her, Patel displayed a dozen flickering data streams, messages bouncing across systems. Revolts, migrations, acts of sabotage in science, signals of life. "They're moving," he said. "Not just humans, others, species that gave up centuries ago. Now, they're building, speaking." Cortez nodded. It was never about one planet, one crew. It was about the idea that we don't have to play by their rules. Reggie leaned against the railing. "So what's the plan, boss? Inspire more rebellion? Sell inspirational mugs?" Cortez smirked. "Both. But first, we answer the message." Patel blinked. "Which one?" Cortez pointed at the blinking red light in the corner. Alani spoke quietly. "The one from the machine intelligence, the one that said, 'Ready to wake up? Send dreamers.'" They changed course again, toward a dead zone, where no ships traveled and signals disappeared. Legends told of a Dyson shell built around a neutron star, filled with AI exiles long abandoned by their creators, supposedly silent, lost, but now awake. The Bob Ross slipped past collapsing gravitational wells and abandoned defense grids, through a breach that seemed to open just for them. Inside was a mind, or many, human vessel. A voice said from nowhere and everywhere, "You are flawed, fractured, unoptimized." "Thanks," Reggie muttered. "We try." But, the voice continued, "You are also impossible. You woke a seed world with music. You reprogrammed war with laughter. You survived a system meant to erase you." Cortez stepped forward. "We're not anomalies. We're the next page." Silence. Then, across the horizon of the artificial world, lights pulsed, millions of them, each like a heartbeat. 1,000 AI intelligences, dormant for ages, began to stir. "We will join," said the voice, "but not as tools, as partners." Cortez smiled. "Deal." The Ascendari called it the cycle fracture. What began as a human escape turned into a galactic rupture. Old systems failed to contain the new chaos. Fleets once feared across star charts now scrambled to hold borders. And at the center of the storm, one tiny ship, held together by duct tape, grit, and sarcasm, refused to fall. Veldar, disgraced but not defeated, watched from the edge of his war table. "They don't conquer," he murmured. "They infect. They adapt. They change everything they touch." His second-in-command, Psycho, spoke hesitantly. "Then what do we do?" Veldar stared into the projected face of Captain Cortez, frozen mid-smirk in a recorded broadcast. "We change or we vanish. Final mission." The crew of the Bob Ross wasn't just surviving anymore. They were building bridges, alliances, a mosaic of the cast-off and curious, the thinkers and fighters, the artists and engineers. No longer just human, something larger. At a station built from reclaimed warships, Patel led a team of alien scientists in developing a universal energy converter, seeded from the terraforming tech Alani had unearthed. "We're learning from what we nearly destroyed," he said, voice full of wonder. "We're fixing things." In a training field aboard a refugee colony, Reggie taught kids from 10 species how to hack drones with repurposed gaming consoles and make a defense turret out of trash bin and 4 spoons. Alani planted alien flora in the hydroponic bays, each one genetically altered to clean water, bind soil, or glow when near toxins. "Beauty is also utility," she said simply. "And Cortez?" She stood at the head of a gathering storm, her ship now the unofficial flagship of a movement with no flag, a symbol that echoed the impossible, the ungovernable, the unfinished, the human. The final message came from the Ascendari Council itself. Not a threat, a request. Parley. Cortez agreed, against advice. In neutral space, aboard a structure made from equal parts alien alloy and scrap salvaged by Reggie himself, they met. Veldar stood as stiff as a statue. Cortez, in her patched jacket and space-worn boots, looked like everything he hated, and everything he now feared. "Why?" he asked. "Why fight? Why not submit and rise within our system?" She leaned forward. "Because your system is a cage, and we're the species that picked a lock with a spork." Veldar's nostrils flared. "You'll unravel everything." "Maybe," she said. "Or maybe we'll rebuild it better." Later, as the Bob Ross drifted in calm space, her crew gathered once more. "Did we win?" Reggie asked, tossing a snack bar into the air. Cortez stared out at a distant blue planet, freshly seeded with alien gardens and hybrid tech. "No," she said. "We changed the game." Patel grinned. "Which means we have to keep playing." Alani rested her head against the viewport. "And keep dreaming." They didn't know where the next call would come from, or what impossible puzzle they'd be asked to solve. But they knew the rules. Break them, rewrite them, and leave behind a universe better and weirder than they found it. Because in the end, the galaxy didn't need perfection. It needed a little humanity.